Today I'm gonna tell you about my long-term experience with the Honor Watch 6 that I have here now for more than a month, and I want to tell you about my experience getting this watch to run. I use this watch almost every day, and how good is battery life, how accurate is the sleep cycle, and how well it is as a smartwatch in general. So let's get started. So the big feature of the Honor Watch 6 is definitely the battery life, and I can tell you it is holding up pretty strong. So 35 days of battery life, more than a month of battery life is really true. And I was using it now then more than a month, I think 2 months already, or 3 even. Wow, 3 months. And definitely I can tell you that the battery life is really holding up. So I charged the watch, I think only 2 times. So this tells a lot. But it also tells a lot about what I'm using. So I'm not using all of the always on display features or all the other features, because if you turn them on, then the battery drains quite quickly. But if you have like only sleep tracking like I have, then occasionally GPS for a workout or a walk outside, and you have sometimes like heart rate monitor turned on. It vibrates maybe in the night. If you have like a too low of a heart rate when sleeping, you get occasionally an alarm clock that vibrates and makes some sounds. And yeah, you're looking at the watch when notifications come in. This is the usual thing that I did with the watch, and in the morning I check how well I slept, how long I slept and such things, and some stats on the watch itself. That's basically my usage pattern. And with this usage pattern, I can manage to get this 1 month of battery life, which is quite fantastic, because this means like you can travel light. You don't have to bring the charger, which is sadly still a pogo pin charger, so not a normal wireless pad that you can use to charge the watch up. But you can leave it at home because the battery life is so fantastic, and I can excuse them for not getting a normal Qi wireless charging pad for this watch. When it comes to other features, like for example the sleep tracking, pretty accurate, but nothing like groundbreaking, which is completely beating all the other ones. It's like playing in the same ballpark. So it detects pretty accurately when I went to sleep, when I really started falling asleep, and when I woke up. That's basically it. Everything in between is something where it suggests or guesses what I'm really doing, if I'm really in deep sleep or REM sleep. It comes close, but it's not always very accurate. But we know that already from other watches as well in this price region. If you need something more accurate, there are definitely other solutions out there. But it's pretty reliably working in that matter. What I find very interesting is that we now, with an update, and I was criticizing it before, have the ability, when I start walking, for example, forget that I'm like having the outdoor walk program there. It will remind you at one point, not as good as maybe a Huawei watch that it's like immediately, reliably getting it, but this one will get it at one point as well. If your walk is like more than 10 minutes long, it will remind you, hey, it looks like you're doing outdoor walk. You want to start the program from that. And I can do it. And what also works pretty nice is that it's not disturbing anyone, because the Huawei watches, when you said, okay, yeah, let's start workout. Starting workout! So loud that everyone will notice. This one here, starting workout. Very, very quiet. I like that a lot more, because no one noticed then that I'm starting a workout on my watch, which is quite nice. So this one is nice that they updated it as well. And I think they updated the watch as well to make it a little bit more fluid in the user interface. I had some stutters here and there when I was initially using it. Now it is way more fluid in that regard, and working a little bit more reliable. I have a feeling of it being a bit more reliable when it like flies through all the menus. Display wise, you can see that the display is still shining without any issues. You can read it all day long. The automatic dimming is also working fine. I never had the issue where I thought, this is looking too dim, I have to raise the brightness of the display, which is a pretty good thing. So that means like the brightness sensor inside of here is working pretty good. What's important for sure for some people who use it for a workout is of course GPS reliability. How fast can it get a signal and how accurate is it? And I can report that the signal gets very fast connection to the GPS satellites, and it is pretty accurate as well. It has sometimes occasionally some issues here and there, but all the other watches fall into the same category here. But I can tell you this GPS in this watch is legit. It is working pretty good and you can track your workouts without any big issues. So far, it sounds like a pretty reliable everyday-to-day smartwatch that you can use, but it still has some downsides. For example, like I said, the battery drainage that you have always on display on is quite high. The other problem that I see is like the watch faces don't really have something that resembles really the actual watch face that you choose as an always-on display. So you're running into a bit of a theming issue here and there. Not very consistent here and there, so I like it a little bit better if you have some themes that include an always-on display that resembles the normal watch face, but that's a bit of an issue. I also really like to have an always-on display, but then raise the watch so it will show me my real watch face, but this is sadly not a possibility here still. Then we still have the issue of not being able to pay with this watch, even though I think it has NFC on board, but there's no payment provider here, at least in Germany, that allows me to use this. So the section in the application still says not supported in your country. And the other issue that I encountered with this is that notifications are coming in. They're coming in pretty good. Sometimes a bit wrapped here and there. Sometimes you have to press to see a little bit of a longer text, but that is still in the ballpark, I would say, with others. So not a real critique here. It's a general critique on smartwatches. But the biggest issue is you cannot reply. So if you get a short message asking you yes or no question, you don't have the ability to reply to this message, especially for Telegram or for others. I don't like that. Then one thing that I have to tell you, I really don't like to tell you, but it is an issue that I encountered multiple times, compatibility issues or reliability issues with the application. So where it lost connection to the application itself on the smartphone, and I didn't have the ability to reconnect it anymore. So the only thing that worked was restarting the phone and then restarting the watch as well. And then at one point they connected again and worked for about, 20 days again. I don't know what's wrong there. Maybe it's because I wasn't using... When I was using it 1 month with the Honor phone, no issue. I was using it later with an Oppo phone. I also disabled all the power saving things, kept it locked, and the background was always running. But at one point, the watch lost connection to the app. The app was still running in the background, and I was checking if it was running all the time. It was running all the time. Bluetooth was working nice, it was connecting, but the watch was losing its connection. And it was not allowing me to reconnect. So it had some issues with Bluetooth. Even if I turned it off, the Bluetooth on the watch, turned it on again, won't work. It just immediately refused to connect, even though it showed as connected via Bluetooth to the phone. But the app was complaining that it cannot connect to the watch. Even reinstalling the app, restarting the phone didn't work. I had to restart the watch to make it work again. And this is a reliability issue because this happened already 3 or 4 times in my tests. I got an update recently, and after I resetted the watch and connected again, since then I didn't experience it. So I'm not sure if it is completely gone, this bug, because it is a bug on the watch itself, I think. But it is not appearing yet until now. But I have to tell you about it because it is an issue that might occur for you as well. And the only way to solve this issue is like turn off the watch, not even restarting in a normal way, like hit restart on the watch itself. Some people don't even know that they have this ability. But I had to turn off the watch completely, let it lay there for a minute, and then hit boot up again, and then it was connecting again to the application. So the only issue was not connecting to the smartphone itself, but the application. And what are the downsides? You cannot read your stats. This is not the only thing, but this cannot read your contact list anymore when a call comes in, so you only get a number. And the other issue is that it won't sync weather data, for example. I'm also relying on the weather data of this watch. So sometimes in the morning when I'm walking here with Timmy, for example, and it looks a little bit weird, I'm looking at the watch and see, hey, what's the weather forecast for today? And yeah, this one is also not working if it doesn't have a connection to the application on the smartphone, because it gets the data from the smartphone, which is a bit of also of an issue. I would at least think that it should retain the last data that it got and have it in a cache or something, but it doesn't. So if the connection to the smartphone app is gone, then all weather data is gone as well, basically, on the watch, which is also, I think, a bit of a downside they could maybe work on. Yeah, these are pretty much all the downsides, and it's a major downside, I know, with this reliability of the connection there. But like I said, I never had this issue when I was using it with an Honor smartphone. So Honor smartwatch with Honor smartphone, never had this issue. Maybe it's something specific to the Oppo smartphone, but it was connected to the Oppo smartphone. I could even like take calls and answer in them because like it was connected via Bluetooth. So just the app was not communicating. And yes, the app was on the latest update, and of course I'm updating the watch as well constantly. So yeah, just something that you have to keep in mind. The software, let's talk a little bit more hardware-wise. How good does the watch feel like, and do we have any wear and tear on the screen? Nope. They're using some glass material there, but it's like pretty solid. I bumped already a few times into a door handle or something like this. But nothing broken here on the glass, nothing can be seen, not even scratches can be seen, which is quite fantastic. So very durable. Also this wristband, which doesn't look too, leathery like. It is more plastic, I think, fantastic there, and a bit of a leather clone. That is looking fine and solid, and no issues there with this. Also wearing is like very comfortable. I had no issues there wearing the watch. Also it's pretty lightweight. It's not too large on my wrist here, which is quite cool. And what I don't do with my watches, with all my watches, is going shower or swimming with them. So keep that in mind. Otherwise dust and lint is like clumbering underneath the watch itself there, and I don't like that. I did it once or twice with some older smartwatches. I don't like that. So every time I go to shower, I go for a swim, I just put it off and put it somewhere else. So this is why we have this pristine kind of design and state this watch is in, even after almost 3 months of usage. And my conclusion of the Honor Watch 6, a pretty reliable watch, and especially if you get it under 200 bucks, I think it costs 169 euros here in Germany. This is a good deal for what it's worth. Very long battery life, has fitness tracking abilities, has a little bit less smart watch abilities. Like, yeah, you can see your notifications. If this is the only thing that you need, you don't have to rely on third-party apps, there's no app store available, there's no NFC payment available, then this is the watch for you. It's basically a little bit more than a fitness tracker with large display, looks pretty good, pretty fine, has very nice watch faces. Most of them are free, which is also cool, and it's a pretty reliable device, even though I had this one software bug that might be an issue. So if you don't have an Honor phone, you might run into an issue there with reliability with the connection to the phone. Keep that in mind. Hopefully Honor can fix this with a software update and make it reliable. Hopefully the last software update already fixed it. Cross fingers here that this is really the case. And otherwise, it's a pretty solid device, especially when the price is falling for the watch, like 150, 139 euros or something like this. This is a steal, get it. I can highly recommend it. The long battery life itself makes it really worth it and superior to all the other fitness and watch trackers that you get there. Even there's some that have like 14 days of battery life or such thing. This one is like double the battery life there with 1000 milliampere hours, and has fast charging as well, which is quite cool. So yeah, if you go on a holiday, you don't need to bring your charger, just use the watch itself. 30 days battery life possible if you don't have everything active there. Well, this is my verdict of the long-term review of the Honor Watch 6. If you have some questions regarding the watch, put them down below. I'll try to answer as many as possible, and until the next time.